And Chris, there's a question from Amanda. In the meantime, how soon did people commit to join the transformation and plan to return?
They didn't have to commit until it was all done with the unions. And so they had until March of 2019 before we returned for June. So they got 9 months on their current campus to see if this is a better fit for them, knowing that we were moving to a 1-to-1 on this campus, and that may be something that they didn't want to return to. So they had 3 months to the end of the school year, and we didn't start their training, if you will, until after we got that commitment. And Jimmy will talk more about that. Jim, you want to bring up your slides?
You should be able to get that up now.
Yeah. So as Jimmy does that, I'll apologize again to our entire audience and to our presenters. We don't know what happened, but Zoom had a hiccup, and we're back in. And I promise you, it wasn't just because Jimmy has a Kansas City Chiefs logo behind him. I didn't shut him off because of that.
Yeah, easy on the Chiefs fans. So yeah, I don't know, Chris, if you wanted to chime in on the obstacles, I don't know where I cut out.
Well, our time is, yeah, I see the time is ticking. And so we'll just kind of cut to the chase.
All right.
We want you to know that this success story really should not have happened. The reality is we transitioned back in August to a campus that was not completely built. So no one was moving in their new campus. You go back to the obstacles, Jimmy?
Oh, yes.
No one was moving into their new room. The new furniture that had been ordered was not delivered. The vendor had to bring us all this innovative, flexible learning seating as a loaner. Only 4 teachers were in their new classroom. Everyone else was placed somewhere. Some of them didn't even have interactive whiteboards because we only had so many, and those weren't going to be operational classes. Childcare was supposed to be renovated as well. And as they went into that building, they found that it had to be demolished. So they were in the middle of demolishing yet another building, and they were moving childcare onto the campus where we had limited space as it is, because we were housing all the teachers that couldn't get in their new buildings. There was no grass. We were understaffed because there were more students, and so we still needed 2 teachers. We were dividing classes. And then they had opened a district-wide behavior class on this campus, thinking that we can manage every discipline problem in the district at this time. Needless to say, there were a lot of kinks, and people were could have been anxious. But again, because of Jimmy's leadership and that temperament of a risk environment, I made the analogy with his space analogy of it was the Apollo. They just said, this is what we have to work with, and we're going to be successful. And so they just used the furniture they had, and they were flexible. And we really strategized 3 focuses, and I'll let Jimmy talk about those, of how we moved veteran people in a very difficult situation.
Yeah. And I think that it comes to a lot of pieces. I mean, a lot of it is down once again to relationships, but 3 factors that we saw as really what was helpful in making the transformation was shared vision. So we tried to do our best to make sure that we're developing understanding. We wanted them to see it. See is believing. So we showed them on the field trip, and we wanted them to experience a new reality. It's one thing I remember being as a teacher in many different staff meetings and hearing things that were needed to be done, but oftentimes I wanted someone to show me what it looked like in application. So really it was not just, have a vision and kind of give them the guidance, but show us what that vision looks like. So I think that when they started envisioning as a staff and seeing what was going on, it was really impactful. The other thing that we noticed was, in a risk-taking culture, we wanted to minimize fear. We wanted the failure to be okay. We wanted it to be, let's celebrate the things that don't work. And if we try something new and it is complete flop and it's a failure, that's okay. We know that it doesn't work that time and keep moving forward. But it's one thing to say that. It's another thing to be a staff member and feel like you can make those failures and not be overwhelmed or feel nervous about what might happen or have fear about it. So we celebrated small successes. We embraced failure. And then obviously third, relationships. We wanted to be available. We wanted to make sure that we were there and accessible, also accommodating. And we wanted to do what we teach in the classroom, which is differentiated instruction. We wanted to do with our staff members. I wanted to give our swimmers the opportunity to swim as fast as they could. I wanted to give our people that were timid and just making first baby steps in some of the technology pieces to make sure that they were, we embrace them and we shout out their successes. So it really was about those 3 factors, about shared vision, risk-taking, and relationships. we kicked off our back to school night, which was awesome. We had more people in attendance than our staff said that ever was. We had some new energy and excitement. We also had some of our parents and families to come to some of our STEAM and STEM nights. We had opportunities to shout out to our community that not only was Vail open, but we were open in a different capacity. We had new technology, new furniture, that we were completely rebranding ourselves, which was really impactful. We had the opportunity, and this is a great picture in the back. You see those green screens. That's because that side building wasn't open yet. So we started using our courtyard. We started just speaking a different language in the fact that things were going to be different. 21st century learning was going to be happening, and that we wanted to set the expectations high enough and not waver on those expectations. Even though we were going to support them along the way, it was that combination of loose and tight. We wanted to hold to certain standards of what we expected in the classroom, but also saying that we were going to support our staff. We were going to offer PD. We were going to offer, supports and solutions as they run into problems. But it was that balance of loose and tight, which I think is really the sweet spot for making transformation.
And backing up, Jimmy, one of the pivotal choices you made, or decision-making, was in March, when teachers chose to return. He began an after-school, on your own time, meet me at Corner Bakery, and I'll start to help you with devices. We gave everyone an iPad when we did those site tours, so that they could at least start playing with the camera, because many of them had never even held an iPad. And we just, step by step, ease them in. And Jimmy can tell you about the success of those after-school trainings.
Yeah, and it was great because, once again, it was okay to have an opinion, to be fearful, to bring up your concerns. I know that people are afraid to ask questions because they don't want to be labeled as a person that doesn't know something. But what we wanted to do was create an environment where questions were embraced. And we always tell our students that there's no dumb question, right? Well, we wanted to make our staff free to open and engage in conversation, where there is no point at which they need to be fearful about asking a question that they might show us they don't know something about, whether it's pedagogy or instruction. So what we want to do is, and here's a few of our teachers here, is we want to create an environment of just collaboration and fun, because why can't school be fun, right? So we wanted to make sure that not only were we having fun with our students, but we were having fun as staff members. So we started having things and learning technology pieces, whether it's doing a keynote or using different tools to make sure that it's fun. We wanted to make sure that we were integrating. This is robots, where students are able to start doing coding, and we wanted school to feel different. Many of us didn't necessarily always have the best experience in school, in the old schoolhouse type mentality. So we wanted school to be different, to be fun, not only the furniture, but the instruction and the technology. We wanted it to be different as we were moving forward. So another piece which I wanted to share with this slide was that you notice that we didn't get rid of textbooks. We didn't get rid of paper and pencil. It really is a combination of both. You see students using Seesaw, you see students using textbooks, you see them writing on papers. You even have students here that are writing on whiteboard tables. They're sharing out in the hallway. We really realized that a lot of the parameters we put on ourselves as instructors, why can't a student be out in the hallway? Well, you have windows. Can you see that? Why does everything have to be so controlled and organized, where we want to build student agency? We want to give them responsibility for their own learning. So give them some freedom, give them some responsibility. Chris, did you want to chime in?
There's a story here. There was a retired Vail teacher that came to see our opening and saw all these kids in the hallways, and went to one of our veteran staff and said, well, aren't you concerned the kids are alone in the hallway and what they're doing with those devices? And the teacher said, I was. But every time I go out, they're fully engaged in the learning, and I don't need to worry about it. When you really blend and choose technology for a purposeful reason, not substitution, as many of you are saying in your presentations, but high-level thinking and project-based learning, and where students are doing the sense-making, they're engaged, and it just changes the whole culture for both teachers and students. When we visited Design 39, those teachers said, we've never worked harder in our life, but we love what we're doing. And our teachers heard that. And they knew they were coming back to a challenging situation, but they want to love what they're doing, and they want to do right by students. And this culture has just created that.
Yep, absolutely. And I think that what we wanted to do is show you just some video clips of what you might start seeing in terms of instructors. So not only do you see the technology we use, you see teachers that are walking around the classroom. They're having an iPad in hand. They're teaching wirelessly.
Okay, lots of good ideas.
Many
So everyone
times
is typing their
you'll
own
hear
sentence
in some
right
of these
now.
clips and
Sean.
stuff, you'll find that teachers don't have a desk
Okay,
spot. They
type
don't
it
have a
in.
front of the room. It's very flexible. So what you'll see of them walking around, they're doing, basically using technology for what's best used at the time, but not everything is always developed that way. So one of the pieces that we also want to show you is here's a veteran teacher, and we wanted to start getting our teachers off the front of the classroom. So we started encouraging them to go find other spots so you see this teacher who's one of our veteran teachers, and an awesome lady who is teaching once again from the back of the classroom and trying to learn with the students on her iPad, away from the wires, away from the front of the board, as she's using some markup tools and things. And this was just, it's funny to see how powerful it was to see veteran teachers who might only be a couple years away from retirement embracing this new normal. And I don't know if Chris, you want to chime in on that as well.
Actually, both. I want you to see that one of the other powerful things we talked about, differentiated professional development. The last class was much more chaotic in its flexible seating, a lot more options. You saw kids were moving. I love that kids have the opportunity to move. You probably watched Jimmy and I, we've been moving the entire time. Some kids have to move, but this teacher still is a little more traditionalist. So she has rows, but each baby step, as we got her to say, it's all right if you don't have a dock camera and you don't have to be stuck in the front of your room, you can do the same thing with your iPad. And that's what that video modeled, is she was showing kids how to form letters, but she was doing it on the iPad and projecting it up there. So she's not blocking it. She's not stuck at a desk in the front of the room. She's flexible, and we were thrilled that she was trying something new.
Yeah. Awesome. And so what I wanted to show you guys, and I know that we're running out of time, but one of the things that you're wondering, well, how do you develop those type of relationships? And one of the things that we did with our staff was we created a seesaw class as a site. And I was the teacher, and I was modeling for all of my students, which were the teachers. And we started creating a community, an online virtual way to shout each other's successes out. We developed community and collaboration via Seesaw, where I was the teacher and the teachers were the students. And so I was modeling not just use of technology, but we also started developing those relationship building using something like this. So it was really, I think, instrumental in moving, because you can't get, have all of those meaningful relationships. So how do you develop those deep kind of relationships? Well, one of the pieces we used was this, which was a technology tool that almost functioned as a Facebook for just our staff, and develop relationships with this. So I highly recommend looking at something like that as well. Another thing I did was I just tried to model the technology. So what you saw was that in the back, the top picture was AR. And if you guys have used some different apps like that, I was showing them AR, how to use augmented reality, how to use clips, how to use different technology pieces, but really, really modeling it from the beginning. And let me just close with this, because I know that we're running out of time, and I'll let Chris kind of finish out. But one of the analogies I like to tell people when they're talking about how do I generate this type of change on a campus, and I always give the analogy of it's like a roller coaster. So if you're like me, I love roller coasters. I really am excited, and I'm going to stop sharing here. I'm really excited about roller coasters and rides and things like that. But if you're not harnessed in, if you don't have that safety mechanism, roller coasters are terrifying. They are absolutely terrifying and scary. But if you feel secure and you got it strapped in, they could be a ton of fun. So with all of our obstacles, I feel like that we just showed our teachers that we got you, that we have your back. We want you to take risks, that you're safe. You have the ability to make those kind of steps. But as long as you feel that culture and that relational piece, you're gonna enjoy the ride versus being terrified. So that is my best analogy to kind of tie that in, and then I'll let Chris wrap us up.
Yeah, you're welcome to come and visit anytime. We are excited, as we've told about the story. Our teachers on that first year, 2019, didn't move into their classrooms until between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So they were in starting January 11th. We had the re-grand opening, and then we closed like everyone else on March 16th. That this campus was the model when we jumped as a district-wide 1-to-1, even in online learning. It set a stage for everyone. And anyone who comes to visit this campus, it feels like something different. Often people say, oh, you've got to come to here, and then you see and you look, and it looks very traditional still. This has a different feel. The culture on that campus, we closed a second school this year, and Jimmy had to take 4 teachers and half of the students from that school, and all the teachers wanted to stay on that campus. They had been 35 years at their campus as well. And once you learn something new and you see what you can do for kids, everyone's in. So come and visit us. We'd love to share what's happening here. Transformation is a difficult process, but just remember, relationships are key in doing that. And as long as you support your people in the process, you can take them anywhere.
Chris and Jimmy, thank you very much. A couple of things. First, congratulations on what you've done there. That transformation at Vail is just amazing and to be commended. And second, thank you for being here and sharing that journey with us. And for Chris, you said it a couple of times that people are welcome to take you up on going out to see the school. As someone who's had that opportunity to go out, I can say that it's amazing, and you can feel that culture there, and that's where it all begins. Truly appreciate that, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're gonna wrap this. You've got a few minutes. Your next session begins. The next breakout sessions start at 1:10. So I know the presenters are already getting in their rooms and getting set up for you. So go and enjoy that last session. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll see everybody here tomorrow morning. If you can, wear something tropical. Take a chance on winning a free registration for next year's Google Camp. All right, Jimmy, Chris, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.